guys, we are finally back here with the first episode of the Brown People Project, which we have been really working hard on, and we would love you to show us some love. And the first episode is called Colors of Honey, and we're pretty much talking about a woman who has been the voice behind a lot of these different causes. So she's an artist more than an activist, but a silent activist, I must say. She has been voicing her opinions through artwork, supporting a lot of different activists. She's also been famous for the controversial artwork on Kamala Aunty or the President Aunty, and it'll be interesting to know her better. So let's get going.
Hanifa, thank you so much for joining us here. Like I said, the Brown People Project is all about people who, support, are living the dream, and also about people who we need to know about and celebrate. But I wanted to specifically know more about you, and also introduce you to a lot of people. And a lot of people already love you there. I see how quickly people have been fond of you. I mean, it's not a day's job for sure, but then it's been amazing how you can put ideas and solutions or maybe thoughts just through in a very simplistic way, but at the same time so beautifully that people have actually gone out and they've posted amazing things about you. I've seen like literally every single comments out there. They're amazing, they're beautiful. How did you come up with the idea of Colors of Honey?
Like the name itself?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So my name is Hanifa, and people call me Honey as my nickname. So my husband, actually, I was trying to come up with a name for this page I wanted to create. And I asked my husband, and he was like, what about Colors of Honey? I really like colors in general. And then my nickname was Honey. So we kind of like smushed those together, and he came up with it, and then I just used it.
Also, how did you think of using Instagram as a space to really showcase your creativity?
Instagram. So it was going to be a social media either way. I think that's the best way to put your work out there in public. And I'm a very visual person. I love photography. I love fashion, everything like to do with the arts. And so Instagram is very visual. So I just have to, it just kind of naturally came about to put it on Instagram.
So you've already working at IBM as the designer, and how do you get time? Is it like a weekend, or do you just do it every day? Because all your work is really inspirational. It's visually appealing, and it also puts out the thought behind what you're actually doing. I mean, you don't even have to put up a text there, like, to be honest. You do put up things there, but the description is amazing. But I've always seen that the image itself gives out a lot about what you want to say.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad that I don't need the text there. Although I take some time to come up with that too. But yeah, I do work full time as a UI UX designer at IBM. And before the pandemic, I was traveling a lot. Actually, I was traveling to like all over the country. I'm a consultant, so I hardly had time to create my own art, let alone just like live my life in general. So because of the pandemic, I just had more time. I wasn't traveling, so all that time that I was traveling, I was putting into actually creating the illustrations. And then also I wasn't doing random things over the weekend because we couldn't meet our friends or family or anything like that. So really I just had this extra amount of time that like I wasn't doing anything. So I was like, why not do something productive? Like for a couple months, once like the quarantine started, I think for like, over here it started in February, February, I can't remember exactly. I think March. So like March, April, May, I was just like not really doing anything. I was just watching movies, sleeping, and then getting like super lazy. And then I was like, okay, that's it. I need to do something with my life. So then I decided to start illustrating. Yeah. Sorry,
Perfect.
that was like a long-winded answer.
No, it's completely all right. I mean, we want to get to know you, so it's always nice to know how you are going through everything. And I did go through your website. I did have the liberty to do that. So I see that you have mentioned that you love traveling, and you just mentioned that you travel quite a bit. So, what do you like about traveling, or is does your work like a day job give you that space to travel, or you just settle down now completely?
So my day job had me traveling week not okay, sometimes it was weekly, sometimes it was every other week. It was for client travel. And when I initially got into consulting, it sounded so fabulous, so like prestigious. Like I was like, oh, I'm going to be like that super amazing, like fashionable person at the airport, rolling my, bag around, wearing heels, all that. None of that. It's not as glamorous as it seems. I was tired most of the time, and we didn't go to like that entertaining of places. It was like random cities in the US, random middle states. So, and like we hardly got any time after work to travel to. Granted, it wasn't, some of the times we did travel to amazing places, like we've traveled to like California, all of that. Um, and you do get like points from flights, which is also pretty amazing, which you can use for your personal travel. But actually traveling for work is exhausting. And then outside of work, I did travel quite a lot. Um, I try to go to, I mean, recently, I've only been working for like about 4 to 5 years now. So recently, I try to go to like a different country each year, um, go to different states in the US. Yeah.
So, is there like a favorite place of yours? I've always been very fond of London. Besides India, I love India, but then never get a chance to really travel. So, which was that one place that you is really close to your heart?
Um, I don't know. Okay, close to my heart in terms of like how beautiful and gorgeous it is. It's definitely Iceland. It's beautiful. Like, oh, it's so gorgeous. Definitely recommend everyone if they can to go there. It's not expensive to, at least from here, and maybe like European countries, maybe even Canada. It's not expensive to get there. It's expensive to actually stay there. The hotels and accommodations are really expensive. So is the food. The food is not good, but it is so beautiful, and like the people are really nice, and it's worth it in terms of just like the the natural beauty that's there.
So is
Yeah.
like a lot of people when they travel they get inspiration from maybe the shapes, architecture, etc. I do see a lot of relatability in the architecture that you have. You have different maybe images where, for example, some places I see domes and the others are like these really Indianized or Middle Eastern sort of an architecture in the back of your illustrations. So is that done on purpose, or you just have been like inspired by those while traveling?
I mean, they're purposeful in the art, but yeah, I mean, I am inspired by my travels a lot with that. But also in general, I mean, a lot of the places I haven't been to, like, I I haven't been to a lot of like Middle Eastern countries. I've also only in India, I've been to like 2 or 3 cities, and haven't been to like those cities with all of that beautiful like Mughal architecture is. Um, but yeah, I'm inspired by those photos in general, like seeing all of that. I love like that whole Mughal era architecture and art in general. So I think you see that a lot in the art that
Yeah.
yeah.
And also how, I mean, I see that, you're not really an activist, like you said, when we were discussing earlier. But when I see each of the posts, it has different causes. Like it has a deep meaning to it. It's rooted. It is really powerful. So do you come up with these ideas based on what is the current trend, or Do you have like a story behind each of them you feel really close to, you feel hurt, emotional, nostalgic? There are so many things. I mean, you're not talking about just color, you're talking about female genital mutilation, you're talking about various things from different parts of the world. So is this something that actually triggers you to go and do an illustration on that? What is it?
Yeah. Most of the art that I create, there's some sort of relation to me with it. I have a list. I have a huge list on my phone of like random topics that my friends and I will talk about, or maybe things going around in the world at the moment, but in some ways still connects to my life. Like for instance, like the female genital cutting, that was, that comes back to me. Like all of these different things are just like, they're related to certain experiences that I've gone through in my life. A lot of the art around feminism, all of that has to do with like my own experience. So yeah.
So if you had to narrow it down to maybe a couple of causes or couple of issues in the world, what would that be that is really close to your heart? And you want to maybe, if you had to pursue as an activist later in future, what would that cause be? Or
it would definitely be women empowerment and feminism. Yeah.
So are there any female idols, you like maybe following or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so I mean there's quite a lot, like people in my life in general. One that just comes to my head is my mom. She grew up in a pretty conservative family, and like she wasn't allowed to go out, and all of these things. She had a lot of restrictions, but she came here and she decided to like study further and then pursue a career in which she was interested in, while still taking care of us and all these things that were kind of expected from her. So I just have a lot of respect for the amount of work that she like she not only raised us to be like amazing people, but she also like did something with her life that she values.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so definitely my mom.
Perfect. So there are these, there are these weird social media trends, like for example, bullying people online. So let's say, giving you an example, I love Kamala Harris, and when she won, we actually were really happy, even in India, because she's and she's a half Indian by origin. But we do get called for it because they say that you never really celebrate Indian women who are in India. We do. And the point is, when you talk about Kamala Harris, it just comes out as approving of someone who is in the US more than someone in India. And what do you have to say about that?
About bullying in general? I mean, so this Kamala Harris art topic in general, I don't know if you saw the art that I did for their campaign, like the Kamala Harris and the sari and all that. So that got a lot of attention, good and bad. There obviously the good outweighed the bad, but there was quite a lot of bad as well. Like people over here. For the bad, there were like several different types. There was one kind where they were like, why are we representing Kamala Harris as an Indian when she doesn't identify as an Indian? She shows herself as, I guess, like a Black woman, which isn't true, but that's one point that someone brought up. Another point was, why are we focusing on her identity so much? It should be about her politics and her message, which I agree. Yeah, it should be. And it is, but we're still celebrating. We want to celebrate her identity because she's representing us in some way. And then I got that. What else did I get? I got the way that I represented her. People did not feel like I did her justice in terms of her skin color, in terms of showing a bindi on her because she's not Hindu. And then in terms of her wearing a sari, because apparently she's never worn a sari, she has worn a sari, but all of these things. And then people said, why is a Muslim girl drawing this woman and representing her as a Hindu woman? So it was just like a lot of different things, a lot of hate. It was a lot to take in all at once. But yeah, I mean, the best thing to do with, I don't know, with any art in general, there's always going to be a good feedback and there's always going to be like really bad negative feedback. And that's okay. That's with any art. Like you're going to get that. You just have to differentiate the two and learn to just take in the good and like forget about like all of the bad. Unfortunately with all art, people have their own interpretation. They're going to interpret it how they want to. No matter how much you think into it, it's never going to be perfect.
So, I mean, this just says that maybe you've gone through it for a couple of times or maybe more, maybe with each of the artwork that you put up. So, is there something that you need to keep in mind in case you're a new artist coming online? Because you're putting up work out there and, you know, there's criticism that's going to come in very easy. And with social media nowadays, criticism comes more than appreciation. So, is there anything that calms you down during those times? Because that's a lot of work that you put in. It's hours of work. I'm not sure how long it takes, but definitely it's a lot of work. So what is it that you keep in mind that could also help other artists, because they do face the same thing? And some people just stop, you know, because
it's unfortunate that they stop.
Yeah,
I mean, don't stop. First, don't stop. If you're making people like really talk about your art, it means that it's powerful. So don't stop, keep going. Like, it's your art. I think like that's the thing I want to drill into everyone who criticizes artwork. It's not your art, it's the artist's art. They're putting it out there for you to view. Like they don't have any right over it. They can say they can voice their opinion, whatever, respectfully. Important that it should be respectful, but in the end, it's your art. Who cares about what everyone else thinks? Like, seriously, like I've gotten like a very thick skin over time. In the beginning, I was like really upset. I would get really upset that people are saying all of these things about my art. They wouldn't attack it like personally in terms of like what you draw terribly, this art is terrible, anything like that, and they wouldn't personally attack me either, which is fine, which is nice. They would attack the topic, which I was fine with. I still get upset, but I was fine with it. Eventually they started attacking me personally, like as like a lot of people attack me as like a Muslim woman. So that hurt a lot, actually. And then when they personally started attacking me, that's where I really felt it. But then again, if they're talking about it, it means that it's powerful and it means that it's doing something.
true. I mean, has your family been supportive during this time? Because it's a lot of criticism and it affects you personally. I'm sure there might be days when you're like down, and I mean, is there support that comes through your family, like your husband, etc.?
Yeah, definitely my husband. My husband is like my biggest supporter, and I always just go to him and like complain or whatever. And like, yeah, biggest supporter is my husband. And then, yeah, definitely my family too. But obviously I tell my husband most of the things. He's like right here. I'm like, look at this. And then he'll be like, oh, these terrible people. And then he'll like curse them off and I'll feel great afterwards. Yeah.
I see that you have these, digital printouts that you actually sell of the artwork that you do. So, which are the countries that most preferably are the ones that prefer buying digital printouts? Because these days it's really all about, non-contact because of COVID, and your work is out there. So I'm just assuming that there might be a lot of copycats out there who are just going to pick up your art and just do it again. So does that affect the revenue chain that you're building for yourself through Instagram?
So far, not really. I've seen a couple of my artwork, but when I've just reached out to them and told them to remove it, they've removed it. Um, so that hasn't affected me. What has was like the Kamala Harris one, and that's mainly because I wasn't allowed to sell um, the version with her in a suit. Um, it was being sold through Phenomenal, which is Nina Harris's company. And so I couldn't sell it because I signed an agreement. But other people were stealing that artwork and they were selling it across. Phenomenal was only selling it on sweatshirts, and other people, they wanted it on shirts, they wanted it on like a printout of it in general. They wanted it on like a lot of different things, and they weren't selling it. So since it was in demand, people took advantage of that and they started selling it on random things, and it was frustrating because I mean, I just wasn't allowed to sell it. So these people were profiting off of the work and I wasn't really getting anything from it. So it really annoyed me. And I would go, I mean, I still do this. I go on Etsy or I go on like random sites and I like look up both for Aunty or Vice President Aunty. And I'll just like report all of the people who are selling the work, because that's not fair. And yeah, I take joy in that, doing that now, like just going and reporting each and every single one of them.
So is Colors of Honey now a company, or are you planning to, build a company from Colors of Honey? Are there any future plans doing this? Because I see your artwork spread out everywhere, and it's going to grow from here. Your following is going to go from, now it's about, I think, 35. It's going to go to 50 quite easily, and then it's going to go up. So are you planning to do something?
As of now, it's just going to be digital arts. I mean, at the moment, I just want to create art that I want to create. This is just like an outlet, and once in a while, I'll take like commissioned work, and I want to create what I want to create and just sell it. Um, but I've always wanted to go into fashion, so even though I sell the artwork on t-shirts and all this stuff, it's not like I'm not designing the shirts or anything like that. So it would be really cool maybe in the future to do that, to somehow turn this into like what I've always wanted to do, which was open up like a clothing line or something like that.
So
Maybe.
if it was a clothing line, was it like just t-shirts? So you're looking at maybe, dresses, because your artwork would look beautiful on a dress.
Yeah, like dresses, like not just t-shirts, because I feel like I mean I'm not designing the t-shirt, so there's nothing really to it. Like I'm not designing the structure of the t-shirts. They're just like, it's just a t-shirt that you can get from anywhere. So unless it's like a different style shirt that I'm actually going in and designing, I want it to be like the actual article of clothing that I'm designing, and then have like maybe the artwork on it in some way, or a print or something like that. Yeah.
So you've still, I mean, so it's basically moving from illustrations more into fashion eventually. So we're going to see Colors of Honey being like a brand for clothing somewhere down the line in US.
Maybe I don't know. It's still like in the air, but yeah, maybe one day.
Great. So so few last questions. If you had an advice for designers like you, maybe budding designers, maybe students out there, what would it be?
Just like advice in general to put your work out, or just I don't know. I mean, like it's like okay, so my advice would probably about putting your work out there. I think a lot of people ask me like, how did you just decide to put your work out there and all this stuff? You just need to do it. You just need to put your work out there. It doesn't need to be perfect in any way. Whenever I create an artwork, I'll post it. At that moment, I'll think like, oh, it looks good, it looks perfect, and then I'll post it, and then I'll find like all these mistakes. So in no way is it ever going to be the ideal like artwork. And with social media, everything is so fast. So you just like, if you create something, just put it out there. Don't think too much into it. Just put it out there, and you'll see some sort of growth. I think like social media by far is one of the best ways to get more commissioned work and get more of an outreach in general.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think I have covered all the questions that I had for you today. And
Okay, cool.